What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tide Talk. It's Sunday, August 11th, and we're here to recap RIFC's 3-0 Derby Day win over Shartford Pathetic. So cozy up, crack a beer,
Nice.
and let's dive into this one. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube. So if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to our channel and click the like button on this video. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. If you're not already using the RIFC Club Collector app, click the link in this episode description. Get on that site. Go into the code Tide Talk, all one word, all lowercase. I found out today because I got Zach going on it, so I got him with the Tide Talk code, and that'll help you add a pack to your collection. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined by my good friend Ryan. Ryan, what a 24 hours it's been. Still buzzing. I was just telling you before we signed on, I was the first one up in my house today, as both the boys and Kelly were just absolutely out from last night being late. And I got to do my rewatch early and have my morning coffee and, kind of sit and take it all back in again and actually like do a little bit of note taking. So it was a good morning for me based on, the, I guess, boisterous night that we had.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be better than that Hartford fan who woke up in a Smithfield police station this morning. So, very low bar there. But yes, I'm still absolutely buzzing off last night.
So I do have a couple of inside sources that were to let me know that multiple arrests were made from the Hartford section there. And they went kind of easy on them pretty much, though. It was just basically a fireworks possession charge along with a disturbing the peace charge. So nothing major, reckless endangerment, nothing spicy that we would have hoped to see. But I'm sure that'll be all public record and we'll get that all out soon. But can confirm multiple arrests and one person was charged. So always good to see. Always good to hear the Smithfield Police Department doing their due diligence. And I know Craig did a really cool RIFC Club Collector card for that one, with the Hartford team bus being a Smithfield cruiser. So that was definitely good to see. But overall, let's start with the environment, the tailgate and all that. And it was packed. There were a lot of tents there. There were tents from other supporters clubs, from other teams, whatever. It is what it is. But we had a good time. We got a lot of compliments on this flag behind me. Dylan drowning. You probably can't see it in the live stream, but this flag is signed by pretty much almost the whole team. Coach, we did some really good work with this. We took a picture with Brett Johnson and Chico. Chico managed to finagle his way into that photo with us and Brett with it. So really cool. Chip actually took the flag during the match and kind of danced with it, and he was pointing to himself on it. Very excited to see himself on the flag. So it was a really good experience. We got a lot of good feedback on it. But
yeah, we got a lot of squeaks from Chip. It was great.
Yeah, we got some squeaks. The tailgate was rowdy. It was raucous. The ticket scanning was exuberantly slow. It was terrible. We were waiting in line. Big thanks to Joe from Defiance, who held my spot so I could go get another beer. But that was the only painful part. The rest was really cool. A lot of people walking around, a lot of people talking. Matt in the Jello shots, Sarah in the Jello shots.
Strong.
More credit than Matt. The red one was particularly strong. I started off with a blue, and the blue was very tame, but the red one I was told was the tequila one. And I immediately, I had the red one. I went, oh, that was not the blue one. That was a lot stronger. So a really good parking lot atmosphere, a really good march in, just a great start to a great evening.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd was rocking. You could tell there was much more of a buzz than normal. I mean, just with how full the lot was, I had to weasel around so many different cars, so many different people just even trying to get in there. But yeah, it was cool to see. I mean, there's so many. I have not seen that many people march in with the Defiance so far this season. I think there was at least 50 people marching in, which was just awesome. There was extra La Banda, and yeah, it was just party from the jump, and you could tell that people there, they were excited and they were ready to see 3 points.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We got a lot of people saying the Jello shots for the MVP of the night, and they were. We got Kevin saying that he got bombed on Jello early. So Kevin texted us in our group chat and was all about how he was doing the Guinness 0% ABV I got there and he's like, oh, dude, he had he had two in his hand. He had an open one and an unopened one. And he's like, these are great. He goes, but I've had like 5 or 6 Jello shots already, so I'm already hammered. I'm like, well,
is that what they call California sober? Is that
it could be? It very well could be. And as he mentioned, he had to stop drinking. So always a fun time with the Fluffy Call Hog Boy. And just a reminder to tune in tomorrow night at 9 o'clock on Twitter to catch the Call Hog Corner and all of his takes in Hidden Space, and get your voice on there. If you've never joined it, or if you've only been a listener, make sure you get on and join it. It'll bound to be a great time, especially with all 3 points in hand as that. But a really good pregame atmosphere, maybe capitulated, Ryan, by the fact that I was approached by this gentleman wearing an RIFC polo, and he was like, do you recognize my accent? And I was like, sir, I'm sorry, I have terrible hearing, and I'm like 5-6 beers, whatever it is, deep. So I apologize. And he had the RIFC family credential on. So I gave a head scratch, and he's like, I'm Paul Lee. So Paul Lee came and found us. Jackson Lee's dad came and found us at the tailgate. It was awesome. Took a picture with all of us. Took a picture with that flag. I took a selfie with him. Got to talk with him post-match too. I think when Ryan and Kevin came over, I actually explained it as I thought I was dying in the movie Taken because a man came to me with a foreign accent and said, do you know who I am? He didn't mention a specific set of skills or anything, but
No.
it was just really cool. What a great guy. We met his wife Lisa at post game as well. We'll talk about that after the match, but just a really, really cool guy. He gave us some really cool insight into MLS draft night, and they were driving and Jackson getting drafted, but had already signed, and they found out in the car. Just an absolute wild story.
Yep.
And a great guy.
And I kind of a George Clooney lookalike, may I say? But very fun just talking to him, getting to know him. I know he listens sometimes, which is just very unbelievable. So yeah, shout out to the Lee family. Everyone that we met was amazing.
Awesome people. He actually told us how they drove in with Jackson's girlfriend, and she had the player parking pass, but they were told the player parking lot was full. So
it's Derby Day. Everyone's pulling favors. So
Derby Day was a little wild, I guess, in the lots as well. But anything else pregame that really struck you, Ryan?
No, I just, again, like, you could tell the excitement was building. There's multiple bands in the parking lot. The lot was completely full. An hour at least before the game. So we knew it was going to be rowdy from the start, and I think the atmosphere absolutely delivered on the day.
Awesome. I totally agree. We'll talk about the atmosphere as we get going throughout this one. Also want to remind, if you are in here, please click that like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We saw a few more changes, or a few, I guess, additional changes to the changes we saw Wednesday versus what we've kind of seen as a consistent starting 11 as Zachary Herval got his first start. But the full starting 11 was Koke Vegas, Franco Nodarse, Yao, Stoneman, Turnbull, and Quazera at wingbacks. You had Herval, Holstead, Doyle, Fuzon, and Dequat to round it out. So we did see JJ drop to the bench, and we talked about that on the last podcast. That's a sample size that we have not really seen much of, except when he was coming back from injury. So I know we were definitely big to kind of see how he would play out, and we'll get to that when we get to him subbing on. But Zachary Herval getting the start, I think, was one that we anticipated somewhere over this 3-game-in-a-week stretch. Didn't necessarily think it would be the Derby. Didn't have a problem with it being the Derby and him having some local insight and local knowledge. And I think he played great, and we'll get to that as we get going a little bit more. But the Doyle for JJ one was a little bit interesting, at least in my eyes. But anything else surprise you about the starting 11?
No, I think you really nailed it. But not seeing JJ made me pretty worried. He's our dual monster up front. He is someone who I think makes me feel comfortable out there. It makes me feel calm. We know he hasn't been chipping in as much with the goals and assists. I know he definitely wants to be, but at the same time, he's just doing so much for the team out there. So losing his presence made me a little worried, especially on a Derby night. It's going to be physical. And then at the same time, the Herval starting for Ibarra, I was really intrigued. You mentioned it. We had talked about him probably starting one of these 3 matches. I didn't think it would be the third of the 3 matches, but it's really interesting. In a Derby, they always say, like, the coaches, or it's the game of their life. They're going to put who they trust out there. And you can see that there's clearly a connection with Zach and Coach, where it's something that Coach has known since he was like a kid. He came up through the Revs Academy while he was there. He's coached him in Tampa. And I think there's definitely something about Kano bringing in people that he trusts. He, one of his first signings was JJ Williams, who he'd worked with in Birmingham. He's worked with Herval as well in Birmingham. And, he seems to have at least wants to have at least like a couple people in his locker room that he knows are guys he can go to, guys he can trust. So, bring Zach in, I think was just another example, another addition to that layer of the team.
That's really well said. And before we kind of dive into the action, also want to talk about the 12th man and the Defiance and the whole crowd that night. Tifo, unbelievable. The noise, the strobes, the smokes.
I did my first smoke last night. It was terrifying.
Ryan did his first smoke. His was also the first one to end. So I had a very out-of-pocket joke for him. I'm sure you can fill in the blanks on that about him finishing first with all the other smokes that popped. But just
what can I say? I'm a real winner.
Absolute electric environment. So big props to Irvin, Joe, all the other board members in the Defiance who planned, I think, just a absolutely outstanding evening. It was cool with Matt Jean, who does Amber and Blue Crew, being on the pitch pre and post match, getting some awesome videos. We're actually going to play one of his videos later on tonight when we look at one of the goals. So just a really, really good evening, really well planned, and absolutely electric from kickoff to final whistle.
Absolutely. And yeah, I just, seeing a lot of the behind the scenes of that, the like organization that the Defiance went through, and just like how deeply they thought about like every little thing of even like, how do we get the TIFO up so that it like stretches the right way, and we communicate it throughout the whole section. So yeah, shout out to the team. I know they put a lot of work into that. And yeah, again, it just showed from start to finish. Like section 13 was rocking. I was in section 12. I actually had to sit in my seats this one, and you get it loud and clear. I mean, even section 12 was like really starting to try to get into the chants and stuff like that. So excellent job by everybody.
So as we get into the action on this one in the first half, there were chances aplenty. Hartford actually had a pretty solid chance in the second minute as they had a nice peel back, but they botched it out wide. It was, again, we talk a lot on here about Frank, who kind of gets caught marking space, and that was one thing I picked up on this chance in particular on my rewatch. But then 2 minutes later, Turnbull plays in an absolutely beautiful diagonal ball to Quizera, who put in a really good cross to Chico at the back post and just couldn't find it. So Quizera for me was outstanding in this one. He was his service throughout, whether it was on a set piece, whether it was on a cross, he was bombing down the left, and he was just getting balls into dangerous areas. And we've talked about Chico being a poacher, but Chico was getting himself into spots where these crosses were actually going versus, us kind of, it seemed like the crosses were more, oriented to where our players were versus just kind of hit it and hope.
What an idea. What a big idea. Yeah, Quizera was amazing. I thought Turnbull also had a really good game. There was interesting, again, I bring him up almost every episode, but John Mercy did his thread on the game, USL Tactics, and he did show, and something that we noticed too was that there's just like, they were just leaving a ton of space for our wingbacks in behind for some reason, and you could see that in our average positioning. Like Quizera and Turnbull both look as if they were playing like right and left wing, not even right or left wing back. So team did a really good job just keeping them high and just making them just absolute threats in behind. There was even a couple crosses where it was wing back to wing back, which I always think is cool. So just both weapons, and I thought they were used very interestingly on the night.
Like Andrew Quadros brought up in the chat, Quizera learned how to cut inside on his right foot. I was floored. Major new skill for him to take advantage of. I think Quizera actually also took a lot more time on the ball before hitting it. I think what we've seen from him a lot this season was make one move, get by the defender, and hoof it in and kind of hope it sticks. But he would make his move, and he gets by anyone at will, essentially. Like, he is a mazy dribbler of the ball, but he would get by, pick his head up, whether it was cutting in or whatnot, and then he would actually look to find someone, and the runs were a lot better coordinated. Chico was around the end line more than I've ever seen him. I know Matt Hand said in the chat that we saw him out wide. We also saw him at the goal line, at the end line, much deeper in the opponent's box multiple times, and we'll get to that third goal with the Brito goal, but he actually almost set up Herival on one very previous a couple minutes before that. It seemed like they were trying to get him the ball near the end, and his peel back passes were pretty spot on throughout this one. But Quizera, like I said, I just thought his service was absolutely awesome throughout this one. And we mentioned Herival, so let's take a few to talk about him. And he getting into that starting 11, and I just thought that he unlocked so much of Clay. Clay got so far forward in this one, and Clay was. I told him after the game, I was like, dude, you were like hitting dingers like all over the field, like taking shit left and right. And he smiled, he laughed, like he knew it. Like he was playing balls. He was going at deep shots. He was trying to play volleys. But Clay seemed to have a lot of fun out there, and I think a lot of that was Harivao allowing him to get up and get forward. And Harivao was actually kind of shading that left side of the midfield, so I think that allowed Quazera to get even further forward, because Harivao can come in and win a challenge, but then he recycles the ball a lot better than Ibarra and gets it to a more advanced player, versus Ibarra is more of a win a challenge, pass it backwards, and we kind of have to reset all operations.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was going through my Good, Better, Best, the debut episode of Good, Better, Best, and I was originally going to say Zach as my good, but then I was going through all the stats and kind of remembering the game, and I actually just put the midfield as my good, because I actually thought as a three-man unit they worked so well. So you had Zach at 86% passing. Like you mentioned, he won 8 out of 10 ground duels, 2 out of 3 in the air, and then that just unlocked Clay. This allowed Clay to push up the field a bit and play more with like Noah spray balls wide. Clay had 5 shots on the night. Like you said, he just was, especially at the end, he just started going for pot shots. I absolutely loved it. And he had 9 passes into the final third. So Clay was really that progressor that we talked about. I actually don't know if we talked about it here. I think it was about the new signing, but so Clay was more the progressor. Zach was kind of like, managing the midfield, kind of the general in front of the center backs and filling in there. And then Noah, 1 assist, 3 chances created, 1 big chance created. So as that 3-man pairing of, you almost had the kind of the stability defensive general, you had Clay as the progressor, and then you had Noah as kind of the chance creator at the end. Just worked really, really well on the night there.
That's really well said. I think they linked up really well. They linked up with the forwards well, and they linked up with the wing backs well.
Oh, yeah.
We know that that's the style that Kano wants, and he wants to get it out wide and whip it in. So the midfield connecting with the wing backs, I think, was just absolutely key to this. I will say, though, the first 20 minutes, while we did dominate the chances, there were a few moments where Hartford got through on the counter. One of them, a big chance came in the 20th minute. I think it was it was Ngalina who slotted. He got slotted in really well. He was basically one-on-one with Koke, and he slipped and put it into the stands and got heckled for that. But we were vulnerable on the counter, but we were able to. Luckily, Hartford was just absolutely pathetic and shit inside the final third. And then from there, we saw 9 minutes later from that chance was the first goal, and it was a beautiful ball in from the right flank on a set piece by Quazera and a perfectly timed jump by Grant Stoneman. So let's take a look at that and the first goal.
Green in the crowd as well for this second edition of the derby between Rhode Island and Hartford. It's going to be set right towards goal, and Rhode Island leads. Headed home by Grant Stoneman.
So a beautiful ball whipped in by Quazera there. Stoneman times his jump just, I think, absolutely perfect and is able to get through. I know Stoneman, it's his, I believe, 3rd, maybe 4th start in a row now, but he's really coming into his own. I think he's really playing very, very well. He had an 8.0 on FOTMOB. He played the 82 minutes, 17 accurate passes, 1 out of 2 shots on target, 2 out of 5 accurate long balls, 2 defensive actions, 1 clearance, 2 recoveries, 2 duels, only 1 duel lost. So he doesn't really kind of throw himself into much defensively, but I think, like we've talked about, he's a great organizer of the back line. And I also think those challenges and duels numbers is low just because of Hartford and the way they played, and there weren't many chances by them. But this goal was just a very well worked training ground set piece for RIFC.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of it was you see Clay kind of being the one who's like playing with the ball and putting it down, and he takes basically 1 step back, and Quazera just whips in really quickly, and you could see that they just were not. Hartford was not prepared. They did not expect that to come in. And like you said, Grant gets that perfect glazing header on it. I think there's actually someone right behind Grant that if he missed it, it was going to his head too. So that was really, really, was that?
I think it was Frank.
Yeah. So it was like really, really well worked. Hey, you put a bunch of like 6'2", 6'4" guys in a little pocket together. I think it's a smart strategy to aim for them. So overall, perfect delivery by Quazera. Really well really well designed play, and yeah, we take advantage right away, which is perfect.
For sure. And, that was in the 29th minute, but Hartford did have a few more chances. They took it down the end in the 30th. Yao had a very good clear header right in front of goal, essentially. And then I think their best chance of the half was probably in the 46th minute. They had a corner. So, 45 plus extra stoppage that they flicked on at the near post, and a late crasher absolutely just missed it. But this one very easily could have gone into the half 1-1, and we might have been looking at a very different second half.
Yeah, I mean, both teams created chances, so we always joke about this was a great match for the neutral, but this first half really was like back and forth. I don't think either team really settled into the match. Real and FC obviously probably felt better going into halftime, but Hartford definitely probably felt they had a lot to play for. They definitely showed a lot of chance creation. They got in behind. Their counterattack was working well. They did do some interesting stuff, like moving some of their players around. Like there's so many times that Turnbull ended up on like the left-hand side because the guy he was marking, like went all the way across the pitch. So they were doing some interesting stuff that was throwing us off a bit. But yeah, as we'll come to, that did not follow suit in the second half.
First half stats were a bit interesting to me when I looked at them. We always talk here about the eye test versus the stat test, and the eye test would have told you that RIFC was dominating this one in and out. And in certain aspects, yes, they were, but the stats tell a little bit different of a story, as Hartford actually outpossessed RIFC 56%. And I know you'll get into field tilt a little later on. The field tilt looked a little bit better for us, I thought. No,
it was pretty 50-50. Yeah.
Right. We outshot them 7-5. We had the 2 on target for 0 to them. They had 2 big chances. They had that corner. They had that slot in. We only had the one. We missed one. They missed 2. 116 accurate passes at 74% for RIFC, 159 at 80% for Hartford. 9 fouls committed for us, 5 for them, 4 corners for them, 2 for us. So, watching it, and I didn't even think it was like a homer take of being in the atmosphere, but like I think just watching it was like we're doing really well. We're dominating this game, but the stats told a very different tale, that this match was much more even in the first half. And like I said, I think that you saw the player slip when he was slotted through. You saw that corner. So this one very easily could have been 1-1, if not 2-1 Hartford going into the break, but their lack of clinicalness in the box afforded us that 1-0 halftime lead.
Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't have enough Jello shots in the parking lot because I wasn't as calm as you were. Maybe it was because I also missed the first goal trying to buy a beer, so I didn't really. Maybe it was like 0-0 in my head, but I did feel like they had a lot of chances. It might just be because of how badly they bungled those chances that we don't even like register them, because those were some like horrific misses. Like they should have been some pretty tough saves by Koke, and some of them just were like so wide of the net you probably didn't even register it as like a thing. So yeah, we were struggling a bit with their counter. I think a lot of us going into this match said like, if they're going to get anything, it's probably going to be on the counter. It is going to be that type of game. That's like one of the only ways they can really hurt teams in a lot of ways. So, it was good that we had the wake up call there. It was good that we were able to go into halftime, reset. And I think lately we've actually had a good track record of like coming out in the second half and really being a bit of a different team. So,
right. And I'm glad you said that, because we did come out kind of, it seemed like the Kano talk definitely worked, as right away 47th minute Quizera played a ball to Doyle at the back post that he glanced just wide, and this was just a wow chance. I think this is that was the ball in that striker's dream of. It was on a platter, and he tried to go wide. I think if he went back across the face of goal, it would have been a very easy, goal finish. Susan in the chat says, what's on the counter mean? So just to, break it down, give it to everyone. So the counter is the counter attack. So when RIFC throw numbers forward and we're looking to score, and Hartford's able to get a steal or an errant pass, and they're able to advance it, and almost like a fast break in basketball, they're gaining an advantage in numbers going the other way, going the opposite direction. And that's kind of where they do score, if they do score at all this season. It's kind of how we've played when we were, backing off and not having as much possession versus teams throughout this unbeaten run that we were on. So just the counterattack, going the opposite way and trying to give a quick break, a fast strike with strength in numbers. But like I said, that Doyle chance was, pretty. that was one we very well could have gotten, and that would have really set the tone early. Luckily, 2 minutes later, we saw a goal off a great set piece. It was essentially a short corner. There was a foul out wide just outside of the box. Noah whipped it into the near post, and it was a perfectly timed, untracked run by Frank to head it home and dump it home. And this one, I talked about the first one kind of being training ground, but this one really speaks to coaching and tactics. So let's take a look at that.
Tonight has been really, really strong for Rhode Island. We'll see if he's the one that tries from this distance here. He'll actually let it go. Oh, it's fizzed in there, and it's 2-0. Frank Nodarse leads the Rhode Island celebrations. They've doubled their lead, and it's double trouble for Hartford in the dark.
So if you see the second hand that daps up Frank, that was me. I was amazed because I was like, I watched it go in and like roaring, and then like all of a sudden he was there in front of me and he like made eye contact. And I'm like, oh shit, like yeah, fuck yeah, Frank, didn't dap you up, man. But like I said, first off, a beautiful ball in from Noah. We've seen a lot more on corners and set pieces attacking the front post rather than the rear post. But Hartford, I don't know how you don't mark Frank on a set piece. That's his 5th goal of the season. He's our 2nd leading scorer. And they've all come off corners, set pieces. So how you don't mark him, how you lose him is just shit for Hartford. And just another great goal for Frank.
Yeah, I do wonder if there was like some kind of scouting that we did that said like they can't react to quick set pieces, because it was Quizera putting the ball down and immediately Noah takes it, and Frank's just wide open there. So like the previous goal, I also was buying a beer for this one, so the beer line like right there, but then I saw the Defiance around.
I think what was really funny, you came back and you were talking with myself and Chris, who we were all at the rail celebrating at that moment. And you were like, I just missed the second goal. I just bought a bear. And I was like, Ryan, go get another one. Go miss the third goal. Like, go get another bear. Come on, man. So like you always have to, I always had like a lot, my Spurs fandom, and the night they played in Ajax, watching at Brass Monkey, I was in the bathroom for all of those Lucas Moura goals. So I understand it. I have that curse too. I tend to miss a lot of the big goals, but good on you. I'll give you the hockey assist for both of those first 2 goals.
Yeah, thanks. But no, yeah, again, I think it's almost underrated how much better we've gotten at set pieces. At the beginning of the season, I think every single one of these shows, it was like, and the other team scored on a set piece that we just were terrible at marking, and we didn't do anything with ours. And it was just that, like, I remember I did a whole slide deck on like what we were doing on corner kicks and stuff like that. So very interesting to see. One thing that was weird too about these 2 goals is you almost think about them as corners, but they were actually just really bad fouls, like right outside the 18 on the edge, both of them. So again, it just shows the kind of pressure we were putting on Hartford, especially from those wing areas, that we're able to, not just attack, but also win fouls and create dangerous set pieces.
Just so you know, you weren't the only one. Sarah was getting a beer for the first goal as well. But, right after that goal, we did have another good chance. There was a ball into Chico in the box. He headed it. It hit an arm. I think it would have been a really harsh decision to give a penalty for it. It was Chico and Doyle, though, who were insistent upon it, like immediately stopped, like tackled the refs.
Chico, get out of here.
We know that's Chico. We know how he'll play with that. For me,
I like that for my striker. So good on you, Chico.
I hear you. I always try to look at potential penalties as how would I feel if that would have gone against me.
For sure.
And the natural,
you're a man of honor. I get that.
The natural versus unnatural arm position, and for me, it was not a pen. I didn't have it. So I know some people will probably say, "Oh yeah, I hit an arm," but I think it was a natural position. The defender was kind of twisting. So overall, just good that we were getting the ball, we were attacking, we were getting it in there. But we've also got David Irons in the chat saying this was the first game I've been to where I've actually been in my seat for the goals. I've always been somewhere else. So this is a common theme. We can appreciate everyone who has to make those porta potty runs or has to go grab another beer.
The funniest thing was the first goal I missed when I was in the beer line. The guy in front of me was a Hartford and Spurs fan, which was just a real good time for me.
You did tell me this. Yeah. You did tell me this story.
Yeah, he's like, he has his Hartford stuff on. We're talking about it. He's like, oh, my wife and I met at Bryant. So I was like, oh, what a lovely story. Then she's like, yeah, we love soccer, even outside the USL. I was like, oh, who do you support? And they're like, Spurs. I was like, oh, brother. Like, I was like, I didn't want to talk to you guys anymore. It's fine.
I do love that we played a friendly and Cootie was starting to start a fight with Byron. But,
I fucking saw that. That guy's insane.
Absolutely love it. But the Chico chance that was the penalty shout, if you will, did fizzle out for a corner, and that ball ended up coming out clear just to the edge of the 18. And Turnbull hit a fucking piss missile that stinged off the crossbar and rattled it. An absolute rocket. I think he was taking plays off of Clay because that's kind of what Clay was doing all night long on everything. But this one had a really, really good chance, and it was really, really well hit from Turnbull.
No, I mean that second half got really fun, especially when we went up 2-0 because it seemed like everyone just got like the license to shoot, especially on those rebounds off of corners. No, Harabao had one, Turnbull had one, Clay had like 7. It felt like, and it was a good time. I mean, and they're all close. Like there wasn't that many that were far off. So it's nice to see them like really having that taste for kind of smelling the blood in the water. It was great that after that second goal, the Hartford fan did decide to celebrate on our behalf with the fireworks. So, again, the atmosphere was just rocking, all in favor of RIFC, which is lovely to see.
So let's talk about that. So, first off, like props. You brought in fireworks.
I couldn't disagree anymore.
Hold on. You brought in fireworks to a stadium. You lit them off. Like, okay, that as far as like hooligan supporter culture goes, it's pretty badass. I also understand that that's probably coming with a ban from every USL championship stadium from what I've read. So the risk reward of that, probably not well thought out, but they're from Hartford. So what do you suspect?
Guys, listen, I just thought it was really I thought it was really fucking dangerous. So I'm getting like chirped in the chat. I had to respond.
It was dangerous, sure. I was talking with one of the photographers throughout the game, and apparently they were letting off their fireworks to try to hit his drone in the parking lot too. So, which he informed
that's kind of funny.
He informed me is actually a felony because it's trying to destroy a battery operated device. So I don't know the logistics of that, but
it's like the redneck Olympics out there,
Sure. So, as far as hooligan culture, you brought in fireworks, you lit them off, kind of badass. You tried to cover yourself and pull out an RIFC flag to look like you were with us. We all know you weren't. You were sitting amongst the condoms throughout this one. Just really shitty. So you spent the night in the slammer, got charged, But the biggest part about this and the biggest sticking point of this, why the fuck do you do it when you're down 2-0? If you're going to do that, you have to do that early on, first half, or, obviously they didn't get a goal, so they weren't able to go there. But why are you celebrating our goals and being down 2-0? That's my biggest problem with this.
Yeah, I mean, just for everyone's who might not have seen it, I got the video for you here. Just an absolute unbelievable Roman candle or something like that. I'm not clearly not a firework guy, but yeah, I mean, I guess he probably was like, I did all this work to smuggle in this very illegal thing so I have to get banned now. I have to make sure I go follow through and get banned. I mean, I never want to put myself in the mindset of a Hartford fan, so this is tough for me to understand why you would ever do this. But yeah, it's just I tweeted this out at the moment of just like, it just perfectly encapsulates this club. I mean, just absolute loser mentality, and just, celebrating 2-0 down. I mean, not even celebrating, just like lighting off fireworks, potentially endangering everyone around you, getting banned for life from a stadium.
Well, I also thought it was funny that they lit it off while they unfurled their banner or flag or whatever they brought. So like the whole thing would have been absolutely even more pathetic if their fucking banner burnt because of this. It just a terribly timed.
I mean, are we sure it didn't melt all the condoms they had?
Can we talk about that? Like, I know there was a big debate about them not being able to bring in banners and stuff like that, and I get that. Like, you want to have like supporter culture atmosphere, but they filled up those big inflatable green. I think they were actually like doggy like poop like bags. Like,
Yep.
does that make sense? Like that's what it reminded me of. But they look like giant green condoms, to the fact that I tweeted out on my personal, like, are these the condoms because you're ready to get fucked? And they were. So apparently they were extra lubed for Hartford pleasure.
Hey,
And
always be safe, kids. Always be safe.
that's it. Don't be a fool. Wrap your tool. I'm glad Hartford was able to protect themselves against any infections that could have occurred. But just a weird fan base. They're at each other's neck on Reddit, on Twitter about now they want to support Hartford City, which is like a fourth tier team, if I got that correctly. One idiot said on Reddit that they only won. We only won because we played better than them. So I gave the.
I want to hope that guy was being sarcastic, because I thought that was extremely funny.
I don't think so. I think a lot of their fan base that's on social media is very young. I think there's a lot of like teenagers in there that just don't get it. I think there's also a lot of people who don't have like a soccer background and don't really understand banter and games and shit like that. So I don't know. Just weird, just odd.
The thing that's kind of annoyed me with them, the 2 games so far this year. So like game 1, there's like a ton of like hoops that the Defiance has to jump through in order to like, there's only a couple banners allowed. We have to bring them before the game. We can't march in with any of them. We can't bring anything extra. And we like comply completely. They obviously steal the banner. Fine. Like very funny. Ha ha ha. I found it very frustrating because it's like moving forward now, they're like, obviously Rhode Island's gonna be like, now you guys can't bring banners, and look what happened this game. They said we can't bring banners. Then one of the fucking idiots brings in a firework. So guess what's gonna happen next year when Rhode Island goes down? Hartford. It's gonna be terrible. So it's like, you assholes, stop ruining all the fun by being fucking idiots. Like that's right. Like
and about it. Think back to Hartford. I know you walked in with Zach and I, and like we got like our balls like fondled and frisked, and like it was like going through TSA to get into that stadium, and they get a fucking firework into burn.
Yeah. I mean, I saw them again. I was going to, I don't know, merch stand or somewhere before the match, after the Defiance marched in, and they were just coming in from the parking lot around the football field. Like there wasn't any kind of like security they had to go through or anything, it seemed like. So I mean, hopefully, I mean, I don't know that for sure, and someone please correct me. I don't want to say that.
We have that from Tyler in the chat. It kind of corroborates what you're saying. Did Hartford fans come through security? I heard someone say they were coming through the woods around the back, but I didn't see it myself. So I don't know. Maybe like maybe there was a different means of like ingress to get in for them to avoid us. So whether that was set up and whether that was set up through security is a club level issue, and not for us, above our pay grade.
Yeah, and like to be clear, like the police like immediately got on that guy. Like he was out of there immediately. So I think like everything was settled. I think all in all, the day was like successful from an operations perspective. So yeah, big shout out to my guy Harry, who's a new listener to the show, and I saw him at the match. Was like, "How's it going, man?" He's like, "I think we're on top of it. We're doing okay." So yeah, shout out to the ops team. I know it's a big day for a sellout any day, and then on top of that with the Derby traveling fans and stuff. So shout out to the team.
Sure. We've got a few people kind of corroborating that in the chat. Andrew Quadro said they absolutely did come in the back. They were escorted there. David Irons said, yeah, I saw them all lined up near the track behind the tent. So how they got there, if they were, frisked, if they went through metal detectors, we don't know. But our last talk was that turnbull volley off the crossbar. That was an absolute rocket. Shortly after that, JJ did come on the 60th minute. And like we talked about, we were kind of interested to see how he would, do from the sub occasion. He came out firing right away. He was shooting. He was ready to go. The 64th minute, he had a really good hold up play. He found Quizera. Quizera then played him in, and he curled one just across the face of goal. Just a really good chance. It seemed like he came in with the mindset of, I'm coming on for 30, and I'm here to take shots. And I think that's what we needed. We talked with him for a little bit at the end of the match, and he very much expressed how long this week was and how long the 3 matches were. So, you could tell physically it had taken a toll on him a little bit, but good to see him come out firing, come out shooting. Just very unfortunate to not be amongst the goal tally for this one.
Yeah, I made my stupid joke to JJ about how it's a long week for podcasters too.
He did not find that amusing at all.
No. So, you shoot your shot sometimes, folks. But yeah, I think so. We went for my good earlier. My better was we just like did not stop this game as a team, and JJ I think really encapsulated that. We just kept peppering their goal. We wanted 3, we wanted 4, we wanted 5 in this game. So nice to see JJ come out with that hunger. We mentioned this at the end of or at the last podcast about the Detroit match. It was like everyone who's kind of a traditional starter came on that game and said, "This spot is mine." And I think JJ had that same kind of mentality of like, this is my spot. I am the number 9.5, whatever. And I'm like, I want goals. I want assists. I want to get involved in this. So yeah, great to see JJ come on and put in a shift. And yeah, it did confirm that, no matter when he comes on, if he's starting, if he's a sub, he just has the right mentality to come in and make a difference.
And to be fair, what he said to us afterwards kind of stuck with me. It was like, hey, man, like unlucky, like really, really close a few times. And he said, as long as we're winning, that's all that matters. So he's got that team mindset. He's got that, want to play for the team, want to play for the badge. And we know he's here on a multi-year deal. And that's the kind of guy that you can really build a team with, let alone build a franchise with.
For sure. And it kind of goes back to what we mentioned about bringing in Zach Haravaw, someone that Coach Kano really knows well. Same thing with JJ. He's known him well. He's known he's like a top class guy. And again, signing him to a long-term deal, both for what he is on the pitch, but also probably off the pitch as well. It seems like that core leadership group who are on these multi-year deals are all like really good guys. Again, a little bit of our inside scoop from Mr. Lee was that Kano kind of has like a no dickhead policy in the locker room. And yeah, apparently everyone is just like absolutely as amazing as we all think they are, and we all interact with them like after matches. They just are a bunch of really good guys. So
our good friend of the pod, Paul Lee, even said that like all the wags get along, all the wife and girlfriends get along too, which as far as chemistry, like you can't predict that. So
we should have had it over under on how many times we were going to mention Paul Lee in this episode.
Should just be the Paul Lee episode. What a guy. I hope he's watching. I hope he's listening. I know he'll interact with this as well. My selfie with him is, like I said, still my favorite picture from
I heard it's your phone background.
It might be my lock screen. Don't tell him. So next big chance came in the 70th as Haravaw volleyed a free kick headed to the edge of the box. It was just a really, really great dive, deflected for a corner. 72nd minute, Hartford had a penalty shot. There was a clip in the box. I don't think it was enough to really give one, but the players stayed down. A lot of players approached it, but it would have been a soft one. It would have been a tough one. 74.
Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate. We bring up the refs a lot. I actually thought this ref did a good job, kind of finding that line on a derby of like policing the game, but
held
not
on to the cards early.
And with the penalties, I mean, we've been on record. I'm a big believer in if it's 50-50, lean towards not giving it because it just impacts the game so heavily. And happy that the ref has what's about him. Both teams had a half shout, didn't give it to either. He was consistent there. So all in all, did very, very well in that regard.
For sure. 74th minute, we saw Chico kind of get slotted through on the end line, and he had a nice dribble, and he sent a peel back in for Haravaw, who was late crashing, kind of center to back post, somewhere in that range, just mistimed. But this seemed to be something like I mentioned. I don't know if it was Matt Hands who said in the chat, Chico getting out wide, but Chico getting to that end line, and his peel back passing was really impressive. That's just something we've not seen a lot of. So it wasn't something I really picked up on live at the game, but watching on my rewatch this morning, it was definitely something that kind of stood with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a flashback to the game winner with Isaac Enking, who unfortunately we lost for the rest of the season. Yeah, definitely shout out to Isaac. Hope you're feeling better soon, man.
Really cool to see the team hold his jersey. Noah was wearing his jersey backwards post match, so the guys are definitely all supporting him and around him. 2 minutes later, Yao picked up a yellow for dissent. Just stupid. He picked up the ball. He threw it backwards. He screamed and yelled at the ref's face. Just those avoidable ones.
The boys are fired up. I'll take it.
Yeah, the avoidable ones that we've talked about. I get it. It's a derby, so we'll let it, kind of go clear there. 80th minute, Hartford plays a ball towards the spot in a really dangerous spot. And I think it was Yao got a header to it first. And then Clay was able to get it headed clear after that. And then on that ensuing break, JJ had a really good hold up play just outside the box, and he turned and fired just wide. It was a turn and spin shot. And we haven't seen much of that from him. So like I said, with him coming in and being more aggressive and shooting, it was something we definitely really like to see. But the ultimate icing on the cake came in the first minute of stoppage time as Brito was able to fire one home. And again, it was off that Chico, end line dribble, and coach kind of made fun of him and his dribbles at the end of the match, but he was able to find a really good peel back, and Brito crashes the net well. I know people will kind of talk about Brito, what he's brought or what he's failed to bring to this team, but he did have that goal earlier in the season where he crashed the goal and kind of won it out of the keeper's bobble. So it's kind of a common theme for how he's getting on the score sheet. So let's take a look at Brito's goal that made it 3-0 in the first minute of stoppage time.
Works. Given how many people are all packed together, it'd be rather dangerous.
4 added minutes left. Dikwa into the middle. There it is. The finishing touch. Game, set, and match to Rhode Island. Joe.
So the Connecticut kid slots it home. Just a really, really good pass from Chico, a really, really good finish there from Brito. And I know he gets a lot of stick on, podcasts, on socials for kind of being lightweight is, I think, the term that people throw around a lot with Joe Brito. I don't necessarily use that, but because I think he's aggressive. I think he's a very good and promising young talent, but just a really good nose for goal on this one.
Yeah, it was the perfect way to cap off the match. I mean, it was just pandemonium at that point. The place was already ready to explode for the full-time whistle, and then getting that extra pop at the end, especially like you said, the Connecticut kid scoring. It was just almost too good of a storyline to write,
For sure. So that one saw it out as RIFC was able to hold on, get all 3 points. Actually, not hold on, dominate, get all 3 points, 3-0. Fireworks galore, fireworks for everyone. Kano was voted the Defiance man of the match. Ryan, who would you have as your player man of the match for this one?
It's always fine. I struggle so badly with that in like real time. Man, it's tough. I really think Harabao might have been mine. I just thought the structure that he brought to the team all night was just so clutch to everything that we did. You could have made a shout for anyone in the midfield. Definitely could have made a shout for Quizera. I think it just shows how good of a team performance this was, that it would have been hard to pick. There could have been at least 5 different players in the mix there. Both 2 center backs scoring goals. You have Chico getting an assist. So it was really the goals and the assists were really spread out throughout the team. So
I'm going to go with Stoneman. I was between Harabao and Stoneman. I thought Stoneman played really, really well, even outside of the goal. An 8.0 on FOP Mob, the 82 minutes. I think I read through his stats earlier. I thought Stoneman was just absolutely rock solid. Again, I'd like to potentially see him play split between Nodarse and Yao and kind of be that commanding presence that we've talked about. I think that could help kind of organize things better and keep Frank and Karifa kind of in their spots where they need to be. But I think Stoneman's the wily vet that could really kind of organize things and kind of really solidify it. It'll be interesting to see how our new addition comes in and slots in. We were able to see a substitute appearance from Morris Duggan again. But Ibarra came on for just 20. Colin Smith came on for 8. Brito and Duggan came on for 8 as well. So a really well-used bench as far as, kind of bringing on players to see it out when it needed to be saw.
Yeah, it's really interesting. One thing people were talking about ahead of the match of like if we would see Duggan, and it is cool that Kano every single time we've signed someone has at least given them a substitute appearance. That first match, I don't know if it was you that I was talking about, but it was nice to see Duggan get in there. He slotted right into that left center back role, which I think we all agreed he probably would end up playing. And it'll be really interesting to see how he's utilized. I wrote a column on him on TiTalkRI.com, and he's like very interesting. Definitely has like.
And if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. It's a really well written intro piece to preview a player that we just acquired.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, like someone like Timmy Scalafini said, he's an absolute unit. He's a big guy. He uses physicality well in the duel.
He's right on size with JJ. Like they are roughly the same size. He might be an inch or so taller.
Have you commented on his thighs yet, or are you holding off?
He doesn't have the JJ thighs.
It's fair. I mean, they don't make them in Germany like they do in the South, But same time, he's like really good in possession too. So will be a very interesting player that I think can bring a lot to this team, and we'll have to see where he sits in.
Right. Matt Hand says in the chat, and I think I agree with him, but I'm going to push back a little bit. He wants Nodarse on the right, Stoneman centrally, Duggan on the left. I think that's harsh on Yao. I know Yao, is there when a lot of goals are scored, but I believe it was last episode post Indy that I talked about. I think a lot of the goals that you see Yao kind of come in on are actually him covering for Frank and him trying to be another barrier for Frank. So I think that's hard on Yao. I know Frank.
Quite frankly, I think it'd be harsh on any of the three of them right now.
Sure.
Yeah. So hey, that's why Kano gets paid the big bucks, because that's going to be a very tough decision and a tough thing to manage. But hey, he's done a great job kind of managing a lot of tough situations, like the keeper situation. There's definitely been a lot of rotation throughout the year, and people earning their spots, losing their spots. And I think it's just, again, something we're going to all have to keep getting used to. This 11 that is doing well right now might not be the 11 that we see doing well later in the season. So yeah,
ebbs and flows,
and we're going to see a lot of twists and turns throughout the year. So
all right, final stats for this one: 57% possession for Hartford. Like I said, the eye test and the stat test, I didn't really see it. I found it a little different. We outshot.
Well, I think it was a classic. Like, they passed the ball around a lot, but it was like they were to quote you, they were fiddly fucking with the ball.
Yes.
Because they just weren't. There was no chance creation with it. Was just kind of like a lot of passes that weren't really doing much. So
I'm glad I instilled that into your vocabulary.
It's used like an alarming amount at this point. So
and we didn't even mention it. Episode 50 today. So
thank you for
everyone that's made this happen. Really appreciate all of the people. We met a lot of new people too in the parking lot. Finally put some names to faces, but just a lot of fun doing this. A lot of time. Is a busy week for us. But
I can't believe the vocal cords are still working, especially after last night. I was screaming like crazy.
I wake up on Sunday mornings after these home matches, and my voice is like prepubescent, like it's in, it's out. It's absolutely crazy. Coach Almeida's in on Facebook too. We were able, I was able to meet him in the tunnel before the game and after the game too. So really good to see him as well. But again, episode 50. Thank you for everyone who's made that happen and made us want to come back and do 50 of these, because like I said, it's time consuming. It's a lot of work, but we have fun doing it and we love interacting with you guys. We try to really be for the fans, by the fans, and hammer that home. So the fact that you guys are grateful, that's the reason why we do it, and we really appreciate it. But getting back to the stats, 57-43, we outshot them 20-7. Clay was pinging them, Turnbull's pinging it. It got contagious. JJ shooting, like everyone was having a go from distance. The broadcasters even mentioned that as well. So that was really cool to see. 5 big chances for RIFC to 2 for Hartford. 244 passes at 76% for RIFC to 344 at 81 for Hartford. 11 falls RIFC, 10 Hartford. 7 corners for us, 4 for them for the final big stats on that one. Justin wants to know, has no one mentioned the chip flag? We did talk about it a little bit earlier. It's behind me, so I don't know if you can see it, Justin, or if that's easier. It's signed by most of the team, most of the players. Coach signed it as well. We took a picture with Brett Johnson with it, and Chico slotted in for that, so that was really cool. But we got a lot of cool feedback on the flag. Chip loved it, so glad a lot of people took pictures of it in the tailgate as well. Just really, really cool. We'll have to try to top it next year. But that kind of puts a pin in this one. I know you've got some stats that you want to get into.
It's not much. It just if you, I can show it on the stream here, just to kind of add a little bit to what you have. Oh, shoot,
sorry.
All right, you go. You
do it.
I actually logged in tonight, so I have access to everything. But yeah, just like kind of put the cherry on top here. Like we were deserving of those 3 goals. We generated 3.33 expected goals to their 0.97. We had 0.17 expected goals per shot, which is like a legitimately large amount. Like we weren't just, putting them in from deep. Obviously we have a couple pot shots out here, but there's a lot of like these big bubbles here. The bigger the bubble means the bigger the chance. So yeah, we had 5 big chances in this one. Again, the field tilt was pretty 50-50. We had 28 touches in the opposition box to their 20. Just a very strong game. And then you'll see here, like with the expected threat timeline, like we were constantly looking to add to our goal tally and dominate the game, except for these little stretches here. So in general, just a strong performance from start to finish from the boys, especially in that second half, as you'll see the expected goal tally just continue to rise throughout it.
Awesome. Love to see that. Always good stuff.
So yeah, the eye test did end up matching the stat test, which is just a beautiful culmination and celebration of this evening that we all had.
Good. We'll hit to the socials with RIFC. We switched it up for the good, bad, and the ugly. This was not deserving of any ugly moments. Just an absolute beautiful night. So we'll start with my good. My good is going to be just the result itself. I think the good 3-0 win. I'll eat my humble pie. I know I predicted a 1-1 draw, and I'm happy.
No, I was not even going to bring that up.
No,
I'm happy. The vibes were so good, I wasn't going to bring it up.
I'm happy to be the one to bring it up because somebody's going to be that guy. Not all heroes wear capes. I predicted the draw so that we were able to fly. That's the way I'll look at it.
Thank you for your service.
Kind of like how Evan takes credit for the run of form. Things happen coincidentally. And
Shots fired all around.
I'll just be that guy. I will say though, I finished in second on the Club Collector app, so I had a little better run on there than the prediction league.
Not all Tide Talk podcasters getting over the line on the number one there.
But I will say, we got
well, that was fun.
This is fancy. Well, I don't even know how that shit happens. That's awesome. Thank you for whoever gave us.
That's the episode 50 celebration balloons.
Wow. Right, so do that. That's probably going to be a Facebook thing. Do that again. Send us more balloons.
Whoever that was awesome.
But I will say, Craig did say that we were the only two to join the 300 club in that win in last night's match. So, a different week and I would have freaking gotten you.
It's like you're like the Liverpool team that had like 99 points to City's 100 and like you still don't win anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm like Spurs with Lasagna Gate, I guess, to throw away back.
All the hits.
That's more fitting for me. But as far as the better, I'm gonna go with the atmosphere. The atmosphere was just top notch. Like I said, credit to Irvin, Joe, the whole Defiance board who set that all up, the strobes, the smokes. It was just electric. Seeing the strobes on the broadcast from the far end just made it look so much fucking cooler. Obviously, I was like 2 feet away, but just really, really cool. And then the best, I met Paul Lee.
Damn, that's good.
I had to go there. What do you got? I know you kind of teased a few of yours.
Yeah, I mean, my good was the midfield again. Shout out to Clay, Noah, and Zach. I think that's a very interesting pairing. I would love to see it again. Especially, I would love to see it with JJ as that kind of the fourth man of almost like a box there. I think that could be very, very formidable moving forward. My better was that we just didn't stop. You saw the expected goal timeline. You saw the expected threat timeline. You saw how many shots we had in the second half. The team was just launching them, and I absolutely loved it. They were out for blood, and the supporter section couldn't have been happier about that. And then my best was the atmosphere. I do love your best, though. I'm not going to steal it. But, yeah, the atmosphere was just incredible. It was truly a showcase of the community that's been building around this team. I know the club worked incredibly hard. I know that the Defiance worked incredibly hard. And, it's great to see it all pay off for the team, especially with the performance the team put on the field. So, just in general, a great night for soccer in Rhode Island.
Absolutely. Before we go to the socials and get all of the fan takes on that one, I do have a few more videos I want to go to. So, we got goal 1, 2, 3. Koke did have a really good save, as we mentioned, late in the second half. So let's take a look at that.
But Hartford get right back onto the ball. This is Deshane Beckford down the far side. Beckford can be clever, and he's going to let one go. Good save in the end, and, maybe more comfortable than it would have looked.
So really nice jumping save, more of a hope and hit effort from deep on there. But we mentioned Matt Jean's video from field level on the Brito goal. So also wanted to take that in. And then I also want to play the Koke video post-match in case you missed it on the club social. So we'll start with the third goal that sealed it, that put the icing on the cake. And again, credit to Matt Jean for this one. I gotta say that one kind of encapsulated the atmosphere, the noise after the goal, the train horn on the drill bit.
I think it was awesome,
absolutely awesome. My son Zach ended up with the pump horn at the end of the game at one point, and I was like, "Where'd you find that?" And he's like, so like that was obviously really cool. Like I said,
that one guy was also working the shit out of his clapper in that video.
Oh my god! Yeah, I have like a little cut on my finger from I was just all night long being obnoxious with it. And then here's a short video the club posted out from Captain Koke and him kind of talking about the atmosphere.
Hello guys, see you, all of you guys. This is for you. Our first derby ever. We beat them. We are here for you guys. Thank you for support us. This is what we do, baby. Let's go.
So obviously we saw it from Koke, the last home match, with jumping into the stands. We saw Quazera get in there, and we see the team join hands and just celebrate as one. Just an electric atmosphere absolutely throughout this one. As Coach says, everyone was having a blast. Jason says Koke was so psyched. He was glowing in the post-game interview. And
also great camera work by Koke. He spun around perfectly, pointed
the crowd in.
It's really good work.
Timing,
what can he do?
Timing was absolutely epic on that one. We've got in the Defiance Discord on the Tide Talk channel, Mike M, RIFC, Trace A0. Absolutely love that one. And then Sarah's got our pictures with Paul Lee. So really, really great there. Leo, who we got to meet Leo. What a great guy. It was so
big fan of Leo. Big fan.
Yeah. Always one of the first ones.
Guy knows ball. That's all I'll say.
Always one of the first ones to post. He knows ball, so we really appreciate him in writing in. Good offensive pressure throughout the game. Composure really didn't seem to waver, and it didn't seem anybody was slacking off when tracking back. Better, finally keeping another clean sheet and taking advantage of a sloppy team. Best, team feeding into and off the energy from the supporters sent a clear precedent of where we are as a team and organization, as well as the depth and passion of everyone involved. RIFC in 3. Fireworks all around. Really, really like that one. RIFC in 3 from you, Ryan Healy. Mr. Lee is the best. I guess.
Cheated.
Yeah. Or Mr. Lee, one word. I get it. Terrace had big 3 points. I did Paul and Lisa because we talked about post-match. We met his wife too. I think she wanted to take my youngest son Graham home, but they talked with us. It was just absolutely just a great conversation. I think we've kind of encapsulated all of it throughout. Deezer had RIFC in 3, fireworks all around. Good, played up to the occasion and didn't let the bullshit get to us. Better, 3 goals by 3 different people for 3 big points. That's a lot of threes, but that's really good said by Deezer. Always good seeing him in the pre-match tailgate as well. His best was Hartford fans got shown up huge and kept managing to get in their own way. Condoms, fireworks. Yeah, it is what it is. Literally all of it was just so dumb. Like, it all felt like stuff my 14-year-old students would think up, and they were being really clever for considering. Fluffy Quahog Boy, his RIFC in 3. Ha ha. Hartford. Nate Ski, good atmosphere. Better, win. Best, Kano getting man of the match. I'm torn on that part of it, but I get why it was done. So
I thought it was a good moment for everybody.
I'm glad we were able to kind of hash out like a player we picked too. So I'll take that. Tyler said good turnout, better atmosphere, best 3-0 Derby win. RIFC in 3, up the fucking tide, baby. And Kevin responded, "You make my eyes rain." So really good there. Jim, good. Defiance drowning out any noise from the Hartford supporters section. I was in section 6 and couldn't hear them. Better, no Darcy and the team celebrating the second goal. Best, a great match from play to atmosphere. Hopefully a preview of what match nights will be like at Tidewater for years to come. Bonus to Matt for his solid hands on the rail. Was that you with the catch? I was pretty far away. I did have a good catch. Nate was mad at me that I threw the ball back so quick, but not about us on that night. It's about the players getting all 3 points. RIFC in 3, build on this. Yes. RIFC in 3 from our good friend and contributor Andrew Quadros. Dominated those losers. Andrew comes off the top rope sometimes, and I love what he does because he's such a calm, quiet guy. Good, fantastic showcase for the club. I'm sure they picked up a lot of new season ticket holders last night. Better, RIFC was in control all game. It was never in doubt. Best, Burn was popping, and Section 13 brought the fucking heat. Andrew H, RIFC in 3. Grant, Frank, Joe. Like that. Very, very good. Brendan D had good weather after initial worries about tropical storm fueled madness descending on Burn Stadium, especially if you subscribe.
Can I say something about this?
Hold on. Especially if you subscribe to Weatherman Evan Ryan. It was a picture postcard Derby Day in Smithfield. Go ahead, Ryan.
Guys, we gotta stop checking the weather so far out, man. Check 2 days before. It's just there was so much rain talk all week, and it's gonna change. It's gonna change. Come on.
I'm not gonna mention any names, but somebody's already in my DM sending me weather for the weekend. I guess you could.
But I can guess.
Guess who that was. Going back to Brendan D. Better atmosphere. The only storm yesterday was in the stands. Defiance brought their thunder, and that sparked an electrical charge throughout the RIFC faithful that threatened to blow visiting players away and fans out of the building. With this precedent established, the forecast for Tidewater Landing is Category 5 fan support and a perfect storm in Pawtucket. Brendan, great fucking writing.
I love like a themed good, better, best in this scenario. It's very nicely done.
Best performance. Our boys in Bay Blue and Amber brought it with the inaugural Derby Day bragging rights on the line in front of a capacity crowd of enthusiastically expectant home supporters and doggedly dismissive visiting fans contesting their third match in 8 days. The anchors took to the pitch and delivered as clinical, composed, and crowd-pleasing a performance as one could possibly hope to witness. Entering the final third of their first USL Championship campaign, a victory like yesterday's would seem to bode well for our playoff hopes. His RIFC in 3 is going to be today's episode title. I know he's been in here because I've seen him throw it in the chat a few times. Brendan, don't worry. Fret not. We were always going to get to this one. We all loved it when we read it. Shucked him raw. We shucked Hartford raw.
It's very visceral.
I loved it. I loved it. I love oysters, so like I absolutely loved it. I think I immediately read that and thought like, oh shit, like that's the one. That is absolutely the one. We'll shift gears to Facebook as far as our takes on there. And RIFC, Jason Demers, what a night. That one was echoed a few times on the Facebook as well. And on Instagram, Shup Mitch had big effing win. Lisa V had Hartford is, and then the trash can emoji. And their name is Max F. RIFC in 3 fireworks. RIFC in 1. RIFC in 1 fireworks. I'm sorry. I totally botched the delivery.
Wait a minute. That's like very innovative to use emojis. Because trash can could have been 2 like words, but then she just used the trash can emoji.
Yeah, good job, Lisa V.
Very good hack. I like that a lot.
Absolutely like that a lot. That is good stuff. So thank you to everyone who wrote in. We love reading those. We love interacting with you. And I know a lot of people love to get on here and kind of hear their takes. So we appreciate you taking the time. We'll always do our best to read all of them throughout on it. But
I also have to say, like, there's so many creative people in this fandom. I laugh like every single week reading through some of the stuff you guys come up with. So thank you all.
Brendan D is on there in the chat. Evan said I ignored his. I think I clicked off Twitter too quick. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. And Evan was actually particularly positive. So Evan, if you can, while we wrap this up, get it in the chat and I'll pull it. I did not do that intentionally. Brendan gave us the laughing thumbs up and rock on emoji. So Brendan is a literary,
great summary of the night.
literary poet, like just wax poetically throughout that one. Really, really good. Scott posted his in our like private chat too, so I think I missed that. I missed a bunch. I was trying to read a lot too much, so I apologize. It was not done intentionally. Matt Hands, sorry. It is. This will be my video.
Matt Hands, you have a whole blog to say your piece. Come on.
Yeah. So if you want to hear Matt Hands' takes, go read the post-match Beacon. It's really good. He does a really good job. It's up already. He does a really good job of pairing media with it too. So kind of for all of our reaction today was to get a blog out and a podcast out. So you got the post-match Beacon out today. You got this podcast out today. And then tomorrow you'll get Timmy's player ratings and you'll get the Call Hall Corner. So blog and a pod for today and tomorrow. Peak Tide Talk content.
And if you are like, wow, that's so much stuff, how can I get it all in one place? Don't you fret, my friend. You can subscribe to the Tide Talk newsletter. If you go to our site, tidetalk.com. I know you just subscribed like 2 days ago. I got that notification. I was like, oh, new subscriber. And it's like Matt Kerwin. I was like, great. Absolutely. But yeah, it's free, totally free. It bundles up our content. We're going to do one pre-match batch and then one post-match one. So you'll get the post-match one on Tuesday, my friends. So sign up. It's really fun. It's free. Easy way to just stay on top of everything we're doing if you are a fan.
I've got Scott's on here. Twats.
See, it doesn't cut. It's you have to almost like read it in the Welsh accent, you know?
Yeah. Like Nate says, can you get Mouse more? We're trying. It's late. But there's your call, Scott. You need to come on more. The people want what the people want, and we can't you can't stop that. So
I think we need to get Scott on as an airplane to get over for a game. That's the big thing. So
that's it. So make sure you go check out the GoFundMe. Help get him over. But any final thoughts on this one, Ryan, that you wanted to hit on before we call it quits?
No, I mean, hey, it was an awesome, awesome night for the club. I think I don't think there's anyone that's an RIFC fan today who isn't just a bit on cloud nine. It was a really fun night. I know we all just had a good time just being together as a community, as a group, as a fandom. So yeah, big up to everyone who made that possible. And yeah, we now sit. I think we're up to 6th place now, if I'm not mistaken. So continuing to hunt for that. That solidify the playoff push, potentially shoot for more. So let's hopefully we can keep it rolling on Saturday in Oakland.
Let's go out with a little bit of a bang here, Ryan. Could we have achieved this same result if we didn't rotate?
I thought we were going to
players
skate
on
by
Wednesday?
this. Yes.
Yes, we could have. Those of you who think that Wednesday's rotation is the sole.
Okay, actually, I want to be really clear. We can never say we'll never know. Like we will absolutely never know the answer to that because it will never happen. But I think we could have, but I don't. Who the fuck knows?
I very much think we could have too. That team was absolutely pathetic and toothless. So I think that was fine. I think we could have been challenging for 4, especially as Matt Hand says, Indy got thrashed today. They lost today, so we'd be right there for 4th place, right there for that home.
Seasons long, still there,
there for that home playoff spot. So would have absolutely loved to have seen it, but
just one win at a time. One win at a time.
Overall, just a really good match. Again, thank you to everyone who tunes into these, who shares their thoughts with us, expresses their thoughts with us so we can share them. It's just awesome to have. One thing that Matt Hands brings in, and, in the fact of that throwaway match versus Indy, they own the tiebreaker against us. So another onion level to peel, there as well. So thank you to everyone who joined.
Could we is there any way like to have bets like trade us something so we can get the tiebreaker back, or maybe I don't know, something we could make a deal with bets on?
Betts was awesome. Betts was DMing me all night last night and basically was, kind of talking about he watched our reaction and, talked about glad he wasn't the only one that thought the Indy ref was against them. The Indy ref did help us out a lot, but also congratulated us for beating that shit of a franchise. And he had very strong words towards Hartford. So really good to see. He laughed at the condoms, laughed at the fireworks, but just really, really good stuff from him. So I love doing those away ends. Stay tuned. We have an Oakland person hopefully lined up for midweek, and we'll get a preview there as well. I cannot make the match on Saturday. I'll be in New Hampshire with the family. Wife's got a work conference, so we're taking the boys to Storyland and all that fun stuff.
That'll be fun.
But if you're not already following Tide Talk on Instagram, I'm going to give away my tickets on there. So check out the Tide Talk Instagram if you need some tickets, or if you need some, if you want to get some extra tickets to bring a friend or family members. It will include the parking pass as well. So the full Monty for you for Saturday. I was trying to finagle my way out of it. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll figure that out. And go from there. But overall, just a really, really fun night, engulfed and encapsulated by a win, great environment, and that's all we can really ask for as fans. So that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. Click that thumbs up and like this video if you haven't already. I've been your host, Matt, for Ryan, and a big Derby Day win. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Tide.
Up the Tide.